Welcome back to the Block Party NBA Podcast, episode 17, NBA Draft Edition. We've been looking forward to this one. Very exciting stuff. Had the NBA Draft last night. A lot to get into, a lot to discuss. We are joined by the one and only King Wells. How's it going, dude?
It's going good on this Friday, June 24th.
And I'm just making sure, peeking to my right, that we're good for connection. Video feed's good. So it's looking good off rip here, guys. If there's any interruptions, sorry about last week, but we'll figure it out as we go. But let's start with last night, NBA Draft. Obviously an exciting night. I would say a little bit of a surprise at pick one, for me at least, for what I expected and what I guess the public expected. But what I'm thinking we do today is we kind of go in and we break down pick by pick, team by team, and maybe we go through the lottery, and then we can kind of talk about some standout picks later on, or maybe some stuff later on, like, for instance, the Raptors pick at 33. We'll get into that, obviously. But for now, I'd like to just start with the top of the draft and kind of work our way down and just go kind of prospect by prospect. Yeah, and, we can, to an extent of kind of what we think so far, what we think, even if it was just a sample size of what we got last night from watching some video, just overall thoughts, moves, stuff like that. A lot to get into. So let's start at the number one pick with the Orlando Magic. They selected Paolo Banchero out of Duke.
I think it's Banchero.
Banchero? No, or Banchero.
Banchero, yeah.
Banchero. Paolo Banchero out of Duke, 6'10". So I've been watching a lot of footage of him and the kind of the top three picks. So him, Chet, and Jabari for the last few days. Probably the most physical of the three prospects. Is that safe to say?
I like that.
Probably the most NBA-ready body, and has improved significantly. I'm thinking more shooting off the dribble specifically in the last couple of years. Can play make with the ball, very physical, has the tools to be a good defender. From everything I've seen in scouting reports, he's probably not considered a good defender yet, but he's got all the tools and the height, the physicality, obviously. He can jump out of the gym from the highlights I've seen, and seems to be like good head on his shoulders, good leadership qualities, hard worker in the gym, late hours, early mornings. So I think Orlando liked what they saw. I think, like, this is what we talked about last night, but I think a big reason why they didn't trade down necessarily, like from what you were saying, is they didn't probably have a lot of leverage to do that with this draft being such a stacked big three. How surprised are you with the pick? What do you think about it for Orlando? Like, what do you think it means for Orlando? Do you think there's reasons why they did this, like maybe Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter? And then we can kind of move into obviously pick two, but just start with Orlando and the Paolo pick.
Yeah, well, I think they did it because they think he's the best player, and best player for them in the draft. And I mean, I'm a little surprised. I think, like you said, everybody was kind of expecting one of the other two to be the first pick. But looking back on it, I really don't think it's that surprising. Probably shouldn't be that surprised. Top three they were awesome. Any one of them would have been a good pick there. So I guess with Orlando, it makes sense. They must be saying that this is a guy that makes the most sense with the team that they have. I guess they like his fit with Wendell Carter Jr. I think I would have liked Jabari Smith with Wendell Carter a little bit more, but what do I know? I'm okay with it. I trust them. I think it was going to be a good pick for them. I think he's probably going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year, and I like his confidence. I don't know what the hell he was wearing though. He looks like a colorblind Christmas tree or something.
I guess the story behind that, they said, was he was wearing it because that's the color of his parents' school, and he promised them that when he didn't go to their whatever university, college, I guess, when he decided to go to Duke, I don't know which one they...
What's the color? Jingle bells?
I think it was like purple, right? Or something. But anyways, he promised them he'd wear the colors on draft night, so I think that's what that was. But anyway, what was the reasoning for them wanting to keep that hush-hush? Because like I saw a few segments on it this morning when I woke up, but they were trying to like trick people into thinking they weren't taking So like, what's the reason if you're at number one? Are they trying to use this as leverage to somehow like swindle a trade down? Like what's
maybe.
the
maybe
thought
they thought that
there?
maybe there was another team that was knocking on their door and they didn't want them to know who they were taking to make it seem like there might be a trade available there, but I don't know. I don't think. I mean, when you have the number one pick, there's not really any point to keep it a secret, unless you're just trying to kind of mess with everybody. Which, whatever, if that's what they were doing. I'm fine with it.
Um, do you think the main idea behind this was the playmaking ability of Paolo? Like, is that the thought process when you look at Chet, you look at Jabari, look at Paolo, top 3 picks. I'm just looking at their names right now. I'm thinking about all the stuff I've watched over the last few days, weeks, years when I'm just thinking of Chet specifically. But is it the playmaking? Is that the thought process? They wanted a playmaker. Like, is that the better fit to them? Is that the idea behind it? Because I mean, Smith to me probably would be better defensively, better shooter. I'm kind of with you that I like the fit beside Wendell. So I'm just trying to piece together the thought process. And I mean, obviously, I thought they would have been able to trade down, but I guess not.
I mean, it could be simple, like as simple too, that they just like him the best.
Yeah, true.
Right.
True.
I mean, they had they were in the driver's seat, and they don't really have any reason to explain anything to us. It could be just they liked him the most, and again, that's kind of hard to argue with. I think any one of those 3 would be a good choice.
Okay. Let's move into pick 2. Chet Holmgren, right, out of Gonzaga. He was probably in most mocks touted to go number 1, I would think, and then it kind of moved into Smith. But with Chet, we both kind of said this, but OKC just seemed like such a like amazing fit in terms of just like Giddey, Poku, that player build, what we've seen from them for the last few years. How do you think Chet impacts OKC in their first year? And what do you think Chet's, I mean, obviously sky's the limit, but do you think he has legit potential to contest for Rookie of the Year? Do you think he develops slower than these other 2 guys? Or could you see Chet coming out and just being a serious defensive presence for Oklahoma right out the gate next season? And do you think offensively his game is at the point where he can maybe even like be their second or third best scorer? Curious on your thoughts there.
I think whatever happens, I think he's going to have the opportunity to have a lot of time and make a lot of mistakes this year in OKC, which is going to be great for him. I do think he is going to. I have a hard time believing he doesn't struggle at least coming out the gate, just because the players that he's going to be going up against are going to be outmuscling him every single night, and that's just really hard to overcome. So I think that's going to be tough for him, but I don't think it's something that's insurmountable, and I think his defense will actually keep him pretty valuable. No matter what happens, I actually think he'll struggle on offense a little bit at first, just picking his spots and finding out how to attack and reacting to the bigger bodies that are going to be defending him. But I think on defense, his shot blocking, there's no way that doesn't translate right away. So I think he is going to make an impact. I think he definitely can contend for Rookie of the Year. There's no doubt. But out of those 3, the top 3 anyways, I think, in my opinion, he's the one that's most likely to struggle, at least out of the gates.
Okay, cool. I'm glad. I love the answer. Exactly what I was looking for. Because as of this point, the fun part of this obviously is everyone's kind of thinking, all right, who takes the Rookie of the Year? Who has the biggest impact right away? My thought process on Chet, what I think, just fitting him into OKC's system right now, what his skill set is, I think you nailed something bang on. I think even if he struggles out of the gate with offense, I think defensively he's so gifted and so good and so smart that will keep him in the game, and that he'll be an impact player on that end of the floor probably for the rest of his career. Now, this is what I really like about Chet that I don't think a lot of people talk about. For his frame and his height, his size, being obviously super skinny, he's a very durable player. He hasn't had really any injury scares his whole career. If you listen to the Gonzaga training staff, he's barely was in the locker room. Like, he's one of the most durable players on the team. There's a few things about his game I really like. Obviously, the ability to stretch the floor, the defense. He's got an unbelievable amount of skill in terms of post spins, finishing around the rim. And yes, he might be slight, but he is the furthest thing from soft from what I've seen. So I've watched a lot of his U19 stuff, the Team USA stuff. I've been kind of following him since 2019 because I just really thought he was an interesting player. And the mental, the killer instinct, the belief in himself to be like a killer and know what he can be, I think sky's the limit. So I'm with you. I could see some offensive struggles at first, but I think defensively he's going to make a huge impact in his first year. And I think that might be so strong. And this might be a bold claim, but I think defensively he's going to be so significant and he's going to make such an impact that it's going to be similar to what we saw to Mobley last year, that I think he could very well be a favorite to win Rookie of the Year. When, even just if we're going like the halfway point of the year, I think those defensive numbers are just going to be pretty ridiculous, even just early out the gate. So that's kind of my prediction with Chet. And offensively, like sky's the limit too. I could also see him coming out and just being lights out from three right out the gate and being like, okay. So I don't want to say he's going to be a superstar, but I think he's got all the tools, and I think defensively is what separates him on this board for me, and probably why he would have been my number one pick. But you could make a strong argument for Paolo in the situation, and then also a strong argument for our number 3 pick, Jabari Smith, who fell to Houston. How happy, if you're Houston, you must be pretty content with getting Jabari at number 3, because he was slated in a lot of mock drafts to be going number 1 to Orlando. So to get a number 1 pick at pick 3, you got to, looking at like Tatum vibes there, but LaMelo vibes potentially. But what are your thoughts on Smith and the fit in Houston beside Jalen Green?
Yeah, no, I love it. I think actually that's the best fit out of those 3 teams for him. So I think he should be really happy.
Yeah.
And I think it was Stephen A. Smith, but I'm not sure. But when I was watching the draft, somebody said he looks angry that he didn't go number 1. And I agree with that, and I like that too. I think a little extra chip on his shoulder is going to do him very well. So I think he would be my pick right now for out of the 3 to get Rookie of the Year. But it's a perfect fit, man. And it's just with Houston, but more importantly with Jalen Green that they got last year. So they got their kind of top guard and top wing, or top big, whatever way you want to look at it, covered right now.
Right.
And they've got a lot of room to grow and a lot of nice young pieces. I think Houston's in a really great place, and I think Jabari Smith is kind of the perfect player for them, and it's a perfect situation for him.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's the most ideal fit for Smith. I think the minute I kind of started seeing how the pieces fell, so the minute we saw Paolo go at 1, the next question in your mind is, okay, is Presti going to stick with his guns and take Chet, because we knew that was their plan, or is he going to take Smith and go kind of... But they clearly were set on Chet. They clearly knew they wanted Chet. They clearly were like, this isn't going to change our pick, made the confident choice. The minute I kind of processed that Jabari was in Houston, I got really excited about watching them next year. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Şengün kicking it out like you talked about last night. In terms of defense, this is the one thing that I kind of maybe didn't fully grasp about his game, but he's got the ability to block shots. And
he's 6'10".
6'10", 220, big frame. Obviously, he's not quite as big as Chet, sitting at, I think Chet's 7'1", but we can click here actually just to find out what's Chet.
No, Chet's 7'1" for sure.
7'1", right? And then Jabari is going to be 6'10". Do you think Jabari Smith is going to be an all defensive capable player one day? Like, could he be one of those guys, or do you think it's just one of those tools in his arsenal that maybe is going to never quite get the respect because of how gifted he is offensively? I don't know if that really makes sense. What I'm trying to phrase.
I see where you're going. I don't want to put a label on it right now, but he doesn't strike me as as defense being his bread and butter.
Right.
But I think that's okay because, again, 6'10", a 6'10" guy that can move like he can, he has the tools. So to at the very least be standard or maybe slightly above average, like good on defense, which is really all they need, because with a guy of that size standing on the wing, shooting the way he shoots, that's going to be his bread and butter, and that's what's going to kind of carry him for his entirety of his career, and I think that's great. I think, like, if I'm Houston, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think where they got him, I think it's phenomenal just in terms of how that works out for them and the fit. I couldn't agree more. Like I think it's perfect in a sense. Um, and it just really makes. I thought Houston was a really fun team to watch last year, the second half of the season. You know, at the beginning they struggled a lot, especially Kevin Porter and Jalen. Like they really didn't shoot well at all, turning it over a ton. As the season progressed, we saw a lot of development out of Jalen Green. We saw that flash and that just athletic ability to like get to the rim and hit those pull up threes and those step backs. That all that offensive arsenal that we were promised, going into last season. We saw Jalen Green show that, right? So
To be clear here, or to be fair to Jalen Green, I think one of the reasons he's able to kind of turn the corner in his rookie year is because he played with the G League Ignite the year before. So like that being kind of used to the schedule and the way things work and
sure.
just persevering, I think that was a big part of that.
Jabari slots in perfect fit beside him. Do you think how much of a winning team does Houston become next year after this
Oh,
move?
they're not going to be a winning team.
Right. So are they primed here for another? I'd have to look at their pick lineup, but are they primed
Well,
for another?
listen, they like they're gonna make a run. Like they're on the way up. They're on the way for sure. They're gonna be fun to watch this year. I do not expect them to make the playoffs, but that means they're gonna be in the lottery again next year.
Right.
And here's something else. Brooklyn gave them everything for James Harden. So they got Brooklyn's pick, like from basically, and I was going to get into this later, but
Oh my
they've got
goodness.
from basically 2023 to 2027, they either have Brooklyn's pick or they can swap picks with them. So they're in a really good place, and that's just from Brooklyn. I know they made some other trades and got some other like they got a pick for Christian Wood, right? Um,
Right. From Dallas.
so they're in a really good place. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
uh,
They're like it it's insane because it felt depleted last year.
mhm.
It felt depleted. It felt like with Wood in the mix, just didn't have the right set of pieces. The whole John Wall thing not playing, it just
They
felt
still
like a
have
mess.
John Wall who can be used as an asset because I think this
Right.
is last year.
Last year expiring contract. All of a sudden you draft Smith, you get Smith at 3, and it's like, oh, okay. So you just got possibly last year, even with Jalen Green, two number one pick kind of caliber players. Like there was an argument that Green could have been in the first pick last year, right? So, and next year, like primed, and then like you said, those Brooklyn picks, all of a sudden, I'm just looking after last night, and I'm like, damn, man, Houston's future is bright. And you got to
Hmm.
be excited for Houston. And if you're a Houston fan right now, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
As
they're one of my big winners of the draft.
yeah. So I mean, all of a sudden, I'm just taking in the context, like looking at Smith, looking at Houston's roster, just kind of feeling it out, and like letting it settle. Like I feel really good about Houston going forward. And
Definitely.
honestly, just really excited about OKC. I think they'll be really fun to watch, and I think like for instance, same with Orlando. Like we maybe Paolo could be a star. Like they definitely are in need of a little star power down there. So I think this kind of spreads some young stars. Like I'm just thinking of like Detroit. I had no interest in Detroit, and then all of a sudden Cade's there, and I'm like, I like watching Detroit play. Like this is fun. Cade's a fun player to watch. Like he plays the game so effortlessly, and it's not flashy, but it's so fun to watch that I'm very excited to watch these teams and these young players going into next year because it's just like, damn it, it's gonna feel like a whole new exciting NBA. Rookies have such an impact early on, especially as the years have progressed. So I think we're primed for a really exciting young NBA.
Well, I think one of the things you're touching on right now, which is like one of my basic feelings, is that I think this draft is super super strong. Like I really do.
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, picks 1 through 10, I like them all.
Yeah.
Every single one, I like them all.
Hmm.
And usually with NBA drafts, you have 6 to 10 guys somewhere in between there that become real players. Like not superstars, not role players, but like one of the two just become players that stand out from that draft. Usually it's about 6 to 10.
Sure.
But I think now, and especially with this draft, I think that's going to start being like 10 to 15,
Yeah.
or maybe 10 to 20 even, because
Hmm.
there are so many players in this draft that I like, and I didn't do a lot of research into it, but like every pick that was going by with a quick little recap of it,
Yeah, you saw
of the
all the
players, I'm like, man, I
tools.
kind of like this guy,
Yeah.
for whatever it is, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different reasons, a lot of different type of players. But
Mm-hmm.
fuck, it's a good. This is I think this is gonna go down as one of the stronger drafts.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think so. I think last year and this year both were like super strong. I think if you
Yeah.
go, we look at LaMelo and Ants here. Obviously Tyrese is in there too, but those three kind of stick out to me. And then I'm like, okay, like Wiseman hasn't really panned out. We still got to see. Obviously, super young, but
He could still be good.
I don't see the depth of a draft like that. And then obviously other drafts have been really good previous years, like the Trae Young and Luka draft. But like this draft does feel specifically very strong, and it's crazy to say that after last year we were blessed with such a crazy draft. With just
I think it's gonna start happening more and more.
yeah, so I think I couldn't agree more. I think this draft's
Like
strong, and
like the entire second. I watched the entire second round. I don't think I've ever done that.
yeah, I know. I was
And a lot of these players, I'm like, I think this guy can make an impact.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, very very deep draft. So I mean, we might as well get into pick 4, Sacramento. You know, that's my least favorite team in the NBA. Even the pick, even even the pick last night. I have to be fully honest. Now, I Keegan Murray, haven't looked into him too much. Seen a few things. I like the improvement. He's not a freshman player. I believe he's now a
23.
sophomore player. So I think he took a big jump from my understanding in his last year of college. He went from like averaging 7-8 points to like 24 or something, kind of ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
This seemed to be a clear favorite pick in pretty much all the mocks I looked at for Jaden Ivy. Now, the kind of anticipation I felt was Sacramento was going to take best player available. They traded Tyrese at the deadline last year, got Sabonis, didn't make the play-in tournament. De'Aaron Fox, I mean, you drafted him over there's names, I can't think of them, but there's names, trust me. You've hung on to him, so I'm just kind of thinking now what the idea behind this pick is: getting another forward, trading away Tyrese, obviously, and it seemed to me like Ivy was the pick here, but they didn't take it. It seemed like there was a lot of surprise, and then obviously Detroit, we'll get into, took Ivy at 5, who I'm really, really high on, and I think has all the tools. I'm really excited to see him beside Cade. But let's get into, and Detroit, just by the way, I will touch on this, I think had one of the best nights of the draft with Houston. But we'll get into Sacramento. What do you think of the pick? Are you surprised they didn't go with Ivy there? Do you think it's a mistake to take Murray? I haven't looked into him enough to make a fair estimation, and I don't want my hate for the Sacramento Kings organization to deter or to like judge or put onto this kid. I don't think it's fair. I haven't seen enough, so I'll judge when I get a sample size in the NBA, in preseason, in summer league. But for now, I'm left a little underwhelmed, like always with Sacramento. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually like the pick. I like the pick a lot. I think Keegan Murray is going to be a very, very good player. I mean, he's 6'8". He defends very well, strong body, and he shoots very efficiently. He's a scorer. 24 points a game or 23 points a game, whatever it is. But I think he's like 40% from deep. So he's a gunner. So he can play basically position 2 through 4 for a team that has Sabonis, like you said, who's a very good passing big man. And then obviously they're doubling down on De'Aaron Fox. So I can see the people that would have wanted them to take Ivy. I get that. I understand it. But like if you look at last year at 4, everybody wanted to take Jalen Suggs.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, and I'm not trying to make that comparison. Just trying to say like, everybody's not always right. And I don't think Sacramento's necessarily always wrong either. It could very well be that they missed out on Jaden Ivey and they're gonna kill themselves for it. But honestly, looking at it like on paper right now, I think Keegan Murray makes more sense for them. As far as long as they're keeping De'Aaron Fox, I think it actually makes more sense for them. And I like the player, like I really do. Keegan Murray, I think, is going to be a good player. I think he could low-key be the rookie of the year as well.
Interesting take. I mean, I don't really know what I think about the 7 to 24 jump. I mean, it's not crazy to see players take big jumps, and like it's not unheard of. And 23 is still very young. For me, I don't know. It just seems like them going against the grain a little too much. I don't necessarily like it. He did have some pretty interesting stats. I think they showed last night he was like one of the only players with like 53s and 50 dunks or something like that. But I think
the shooting is very impressive. Like a 6'8" shooter like that.
Yeah, for
any
sure.
team could use him.
For sure. And I think I'll have to get a better sample size from summer league preseason to make a full estimation. But as of now,
of course,
that's just kind of my initial reaction, initial take. Let's move into Detroit. Picking Jaden Ivy at 5. I think they got to be pretty thrilled with that one. I don't think they actually thought he was going to be there. I think they were probably primed to go after Benedict Mathurin. But I think once Ivy kind of became available there, I really think they thought that Ivy was going to go to 4. And I think they thought they were pretty much picking between Murray, Ivy, Benedict, kind of that shade, like that kind of thing. Or sorry, not Ivy, Murray, Benedict, and Shaden. I think that's who they kind of thought would be there. And I think they were. I had a feeling Detroit was going to take the jump on Benedict. That's kind of the vibe I got. But they ended up going with Ivy, obviously. What's your thoughts on Ivy, Cade, and I mean, I think it kind of goes hand in hand, but we got to talk about this. As much as he moved around last night, Jalen Duran, the big man there, I think it was pick 13. He got flipped to New York. New York traded him to Detroit. I believe they also got Kemba Walker in that deal.
They're gonna let him go.
I'm sure it won't really be relevant. But what's your thoughts on Ivy, Cade together, and then also bringing in another young member, Duran? Does this kind of not give you very similar vibes to Houston last year with Şengün and Green? This is kind of the vibe I get with this Detroit move. Bringing in kind of two guys, a guy like Ivy who is very comparable to Jalen Green, athletic, very comparable. People compare him to like a Green or a Ja Morant. He obviously looks like Ja 2.0 is kind of the joke a lot of people were saying last night. But then you got a guy like Duran who's kind of probably a bigger body than Şengün, but it's similar to me that they're bringing in two guys, bringing in a lot of youth. I just like the move. I like the Şengün Green move last year for Houston, and I like the move this year for Detroit. Getting another guy in that scheme with Duran. And there was another player I believe they drafted as well. I can't think of him. I could probably go down the list here and find him. Let me look. He was early to OKC. So Jalen Duran to Detroit. Damn.
I think it's pronounced Duran.
Duran, really?
Well, it's Duren.
I just heard people saying Duran. But what's the Damn, there's another person. I'm missing him, bro. Do you?
Another person?
They drafted in round 1, I thought. That was... They got someone else.
Let's start with Jaden Ivy because... is it
sorry.
Jaden or Jalen Ivy?
Jaden Ivy.
I think he's going to be a good player.
Me too.
A lot of people say that he's the most athletic in the entire draft. That's always a good sign when it's a guard. He's got good size. I can definitely see the Ja Morant comparison. Having said that, I don't think we should be expecting that out of the gate, but I think he's in a great place in Detroit. I mean, Cade is probably going to have to move over to shooting guard, let Ivy play the point, but I think that works really, really well. And they have their backcourt basically of the future, so got to be happy about that. The big man coming in is a bit confusing for me because I know they have Stewart already, so I'm not really sure what's going on there, but maybe they just want to solidify it, have a starter and a backup big, both kind of fighting for minutes, or maybe they see him playing as power forward. I'm not sure, but
they traded Grant recently, so I think they freed up a spot. I don't know if that was like the idea behind it or if that just kind of coincided, but Grant I believe was traded to Portland. So I guess maybe there was a rotation spot, but I have a feeling...
Yeah, but they're both centers is what I mean.
I just have a feeling because to me, Isaiah Stewart's a little undersized for the center position. Like he seems...
I think they're both the same height.
Really? I thought
they're both 6'8", I think.
Duran too?
Yeah.
Duran? Is he? Let me look. I thought he was bigger.
Maybe 6'9"?
6'11".
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so yeah, because I remember him. I just remember him being like one of the bigger, like kind of the
but
bigs.
Still,
like the position.
Play them both?
Well, I don't know. The footage I've seen of Jalen is like I don't know. The vibe I got watching it was like a Dwight Howard vibe, and then to me, Isaiah Stewart, like spacing wise and stretching the floor, I don't know how it works, but I could see Isaiah Stewart moving to the bench. Quite honestly, I honestly could see him being a really good pick off the bench.
And that's fair. I'm just,
Yeah.
that one was a little confusing, but I get it. If that's what they're gonna do, they're gonna be strong.
I think they want to kind of like a big body out there. That's the vibe I'm getting, and I think they'll try to run the screen roll with Cade, and Ivy will run it. But I mean, yeah, it'll be worth watching. There's who's else is Sadiq Bey, right? Is like another piece. I'm sure they'll. I would anticipate Bey staying in the starting lineup, but.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Let's move to Indiana's pick. Indiana's pick. This is kind of a cool one, but Benedict Mathurin at 6 to Indiana, Shaedon Sharpe to Portland at 7. Back-to-back Canadians, which is really cool. We'll start with Mathurin. What's your thoughts on Indiana to Mathurin? To me, the minute I saw it, I loved it. I thought it was the perfect fit. Like the name, just seeing him go to Indiana, seeing the pick just kind of come into fruition after Ivy, it just felt really right for Indiana, and it felt kind of like a silent killer pick. Like a Donovan Mitchell type. Like, I don't know. I like the stuff I've seen from Benedict. I think you do as well. What's your thoughts on the pick slotting into Indiana? There's a lot of rumors right now with Indiana involving Brogdon. There's actually a rumor right now going around. I don't know if you saw it, but we can get into it since we're talking about Indiana. A little bit of a rumor regarding Miles Turner and Duarte for OG. Have you been seeing this one at all? I don't.
No, but I don't like it.
So, what's your thoughts on the Mathurin pick? And maybe does this give them any leverage now to trade a guy like Duarte or even trade a guy like Mathurin?
Well, for sure.
To make a big move.
I think he's going to fit very nicely next to Halliburton, and I do expect them to trade Brogdon, although I'm not really sure why, because for me he's a good player, like really good player, really solid on a solid contract.
Injury history maybe, and a little older than the other guys, but.
I don't know. I wouldn't just trade him if I was them. I don't think they should be in a rush, but we'll see what happens there. But I like the pick. I like the pick for sure. Benedict was one of the guys I really liked going into this draft. So I think they made a good choice there.
So kind of cool. It was 2 Canadians back to back. So Benedict obviously Indiana, then Shaedon Sharpe to Portland. Now this Sharpe one's kind of interesting. So the vibe I get when I kind of take in this situation is very similar to Darius Garland a few years back. Garland came in, was fighting the injury. We didn't get a big sample size, but kind of the production we got warranted drafting him pretty early on. So it gives me a similar vibe with Sharpe. He seems like he's got tools to be a very strong offensive weapon. He went to school at Kentucky. He's from Canada, 6'5", guard. Can hit the three, the deep shots. What's your thoughts on the pick for Portland? Does this signal maybe a Damian Lillard trade coming some point in the year? You got Sharpe and Anthony Simons now there kind of slated in. Or?
I don't know, because I think he fits really well with Dame. Playing beside him and covering for him on defense a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that's a really nice fit.
Do you think? I'd have to look into the history and the context of where Sharpe was projected to go before injury, but he seems like he could be one of the sleepers in the draft, just based on his skill set and getting him later based on injury. But would you be surprised at him making an impact early on, or do you think he's just because coming off injury and not having kind of that his legs under him, I guess, so to speak? But do you think it will take him a little bit to get going, or?
I mean, he could, but I wouldn't be surprised. No, I know he's young, but he's going to get a lot of shots available in Portland with Dame taking all the defensive focus. So I think he'll have a good chance for sure. And he's a shooter,
right?
I think anyway. So he'll fit right in.
Next pick I really liked as well. This is Dyson Daniels to New Orleans, and I think New Orleans was pretty thrilled to get him here, and that pick kind of working out the way it did. Got such a young core, obviously traded for CJ McCollum last season. Zion slated to make his return in this upcoming season. How do you feel about the Dyson Daniels pick? He's 6'7", so that's kind of interesting. He's from Australia. He's a guard. What's your thoughts? I like the highlights I saw, and I kind of said, wow, okay, like if I'm thinking, slotting Dyson Daniels in maybe where Devontae Graham was playing, this is not bad at all. This is a really good pick.
This is a nice pick for New Orleans. They like, I don't want to say they hit the jackpot, but they They did very, very well. I think he's going to be super good. He's young, and I love, long playmaking guards. So
Hmm. Like a
I think
Lonzo
he's going
Ball
to be
kind of
fine.
vibe, maybe. Like that's kind of, it fits right into like the same kind of player build. So
Well, one thing I like is they mentioned that he models his game after Alex Caruso's defense,
that's pretty
and I
sweet.
think that's a interesting and very specific thing to say.
Yeah, it's very specific.
And so I like that. I like
Hmm.
that. Any player that comes in devoted to defense, even especially one at the guard spot, which is a position where most people, not that they ignore defense, but most people come in and want to make an impact on offense.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great start if that's where he wants his fundamentals to be.
Hmm.
He'll be
Hmm.
just fine.
Hmm.
And
I
with
think.
CJ, taking him under his wing.
Yeah, yeah, couldn't agree more. I think this is a bang on pick for them. I think they got to be thrilled. So the next one I haven't looked into as much. Jeremy Sohan, he's out of Baylor, 6'9", San Antonio's pick.
Yeah, I really like this one. I
Yeah,
really, really like this
give
one.
me
At
some
first, I
give
was
me
like,
some
"Who the hell is
context.
this?" Listen,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just going off like my reaction from him. At first, when I saw him, I was like, "Oh, here comes Kyle Kuzma, part two,"
Right.
because he's got the bleached hair or whatever.
Right. Right.
Um, but then the more they were talking about it, it's like, first of all, I find him kind of interesting. Like I'm not gonna guess because I forget, but he grew up like in one country and then
Yeah.
eventually
Went
just
around
been kind of all over the world a little
Germany,
bit.
and yeah, England. Same.
And so I think that's good. I think that's good for your character usually.
Hmm.
And then was in the States in kind of a middle of nowhere, like
Yeah.
Midwest kind of place.
LaMelo vibes, kind of. Well, not in the States, but like just middle of nowhere, playing only
Well,
basketball. I think that's
I'm
what you're getting
getting a
at.
bit of Dennis Rodman kind of vibes with him, and I'm not just saying that because he changed his hair
Well,
color,
I
but
mean,
just
look at the frame.
he seems kind of like that type of player,
6'9", 237 wing. That's like pretty bang on Dennis Rodman
and
frame,
he was
no?
from the highlights they were showing. It was looking like he was pretty devoted to hitting the boards, getting on defense, just playing hard.
Right.
So I think San Antonio got a nice pick here. And anything San Antonio ever does, I always look at that one twice because they've hit the jackpot more than once in the draft, and or not even in the draft, but just finding a player where not everybody saw value. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been drafted, but um, I like this pick. I got a weird good feeling about this pick. San Antonio, by the way, is one of my other big winners in this
Well,
draft.
I mean, they have a fantastic draft history throughout the years. This is an interesting kind of a little synopsis under his report on NBA.com. So they say
Nice.
that at Baylor, he guarded multiple positions throughout the season and
I love
regularly
that.
slided up to the center spot out of necessity late in the year. So as the season progressed, he slowly played more center, which is, I mean, how valuable can that be in the modern NBA? We know, right? So that's super interesting. I think the 6'9" frame, the 230, the 7 wingspan, I think, yeah, primed. And just given San Antonio's like track record in the last few years, what they got going on there, Popovich's devotion to winning, and just I don't think Pop will be afraid to play this guy if he produces right out the gate. So yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think it's one to keep an eye on for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
If we move to the next pick, again, probably where my knowledge starts falling off is past pick 10 here, in terms of like pre-draft stuff. But obviously, we can go by what we've seen, what we're looking at. Johnny Davis.
Isn't that the most NBA name you ever heard in your life?
Johnny Davis,
He sounds like
Washington
a
Wizards,
superhero or something.
6'5", out of Wisconsin, sophomore, so it's not a freshman. Don't know a lot. Washington, I mean, drafting a guard. I mean, what does this say about the Beal situation going on? I don't know if you've seen what Beal said in the last few days about not really giving an answer or not giving context to the situation. That's got to be a little scary if you're Washington. And then you look at the pick, 6'5" guard out of Wisconsin. Gotta assume Beal's probably on the way out, no?
Oh no, I think he fits really well next to Beal. I think he's more of a point guard than he is like a scoring shooting guard. So I actually, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's the vibe I got. So I think if Beal leaves, they'll be okay. But if he stays, I think he can play with Beal for sure.
I'm looking at just his his improvement. So in his first year of college, he averaged 7 points, 4 rebounds. And then last year, he had one of the biggest improvements in college basketball. He went from that to 19.4 points, 8.4 rebounds, 2.1 assists.
Okay. So
So
maybe not as many assists as I'm thinking there, but
6'5".
rebounds are nice, and
Rebounds are really nice. scoring.
A guard that plays like that is always going to be
6'8" wingspan, nearly tripling scoring average. So, I mean, yeah, I think like he could definitely slot in there. I don't know. This to me, I still kind of don't. I'm not set on Beal staying there. I really don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm just looking at the player build. It seems like they're trying to find the Beal replacement, but who knows? Who knows? This one's super interesting coming up to the Knicks. Like this pick, this situation with what the Knicks are doing, with what happened. I don't know if you've been following like the whole Brunson thing.
they're the biggest
hiring.
losers of the draft.
You think they're the biggest losers of the draft?
Well, they were number one on my list of losers.
So you trade away. They make multiple moves, acquiring distant first round picks. They trade away a possible.
Looks like they got a lot of firsts there,
right?
Which is interesting,
right?
But
they also then cleared up cap space to. It's looking like sign Jalen Brunson.
That's what they want to do. I don't even think they're going to get him. I don't even think, and even if they got him, what, like all due respect to Jalen Brunson, he's not going to change the New York. He's not going to take them to the playoffs.
I know. So, yeah, I'm a little
it's
now
right.
on. This could take a big turn quick here, and I just want to say because the Knicks are listed as
Kyrie goes there.
Knicks are listed as one of Kyrie's teams, and all of a sudden, if you got Kyrie on the Knicks, and then you maybe make a couple moves, you try to get another star there, all of a sudden, the whole narrative on the Knicks could change, and then you got tons of future first round picks coming in too. So you're primed for the future. So this could take a huge change of turn. Like the NBA is very, very unpredictable, and superstars move.
But to be relying on Kyrie Irving for that is really hard to swallow.
Right. And given what we saw just last night, the context, Knicks fans seemed pissed. Stephen A. was pissed. Stephen A. I honestly, part of me just thinks that Knicks do it to just fuel Stephen A.'s rage so we can get quality TV entertainment. But I mean, yeah, couldn't really comment on it.
But the thing is, I liked the guy that they picked, and what's his name, Ousmane Dieng. Like I thought when they picked him, I was like, okay, I didn't think he's going to be a franchise player or anything, but I was like, I could see how this guy can make an impact.
Right, and then
right away he's going to OKC. Boom.
Yeah, he's getting booed, and maybe I'm thinking of OKC banging all these picks out in the first round. Yeah, so Ousmane Dieng, OKC, right. This is what I was thinking of. And then it was Jalen Williams they selected right after. So they got back-to-back picks there at 11 and 12. Because New York took the 11, Ousmane Dieng, and then Jalen Williams had picked 12 to OKC as well. And then Detroit then got from New York somehow. This is weird because it was like a Charlotte pick that got traded to New York, I think. Then they got traded to Detroit. That was Jalen Duran, who ended up going to Detroit. So that's why everyone was like, okay, because there was a lot of people that saw the Jalen Duran pick to New York and got really excited because they're like, okay, that's what I'm talking about, Knicks.
But they don't need him.
Well, it just seemed like they traded up. They got a guy maybe they thought had star power. They get that guy, they trade and get a bunch of firsts from their 11th pick or whatever, right? So it kind of seemed like it could be working out, but then they flipped him to Detroit, and it was like, okay, so who do we have now? We didn't even get anyone.
You got cap space.
Right. So kind of interesting. We kind of skipped over Jalen Williams. I didn't see too much about him. I mean, it's clearly someone they're probably excited to throw into rotation.
There's only one more I want to talk about at 15.
Right.
And that's
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams. Yeah, I like this one. I like this one for Charlotte. I got a good feeling about that.
7-2.
I got a good feeling about this guy. I think judging again, I don't know shit. I'm just judging from the little video they showed.
Right.
But Charlotte's been desperate for a big man for a long time, and this is the kind of guy that it looks like could just really anchor them.
Right.
We'll see how he meshes with LaMelo, but I think this is gonna work. I think that's a really nice pick.
9'9" standing reach. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's massive, and he's 240 at 7'2", so he's got some,
lean.
Yeah. This could be huge.
If he can hit his free throws, that's gonna be tough.
Do they have a free throw percentage for him? I don't see it. I wish they showed it, but anyways, it's interesting to say the least. And I mean, just thinking back to Charlotte, like you said, last few years, like Plumlee and I can't even think of who else they've been running at center the last few years. There's a few.
They had Dwight Howard a while back.
That was a while back. I'm just thinking last 2-3, like like Plumlee, and there's someone else they had. But anyways, they, like you said, they were missing a proper center. Okay, out of this at this point on, I mean, there's not really any notable names that I
There's
like.
a couple I like.
Like in terms of just what I saw and like stood out to me. But truthfully, it's kind of funny because I think this was kind of something that a lot of Raptors fans were hoping to get, and I didn't even.
Wait, no, wait, not yet.
You
Not Raptors yet. There's a couple I want to talk about.
Okay,
before.
okay.
I just want to mention them. Picks that I like.
Nikola Jovic.
Well, I like that he went to Miami. I don't know if I like him because it's really hard not to picture Jokic, but
I know.
I'm just having too much trouble. But I like that he went to Miami. I think that's going to be great for him.
Right. Give me some names on the board
Okay,
here.
I'll give you one random one. I only first heard it last night, and from the highlight video, I was like, I got a weirdly good feeling about this guy. Memphis, worst name, David Roddy. Sounds like a Rottweiler or something.
Oh, yeah. Traded to Memphis, eh?
Yeah. Memphis made a couple nice trades, or interesting trades, let's say, for their picks. But I don't know. I like this David Roddy kid at 6'6", I think 6'6", 6'7", but
6'6",
thick.
yeah.
You know, like 260, I think he is.
Yeah.
So like Draymond Green kind of mold as far as body, but apparently he can hit the three, and looks like he plays tough. I like that pick, especially from Memphis. I think he's going to fit in very well. And I got to give a little love to the Warriors because they got 2 or 3 guys last night. But the first one they got in the second round.
Patrick Baldwin, was it?
I think that was in the first round. But
round one, 28.
Rollins, I think, in the second round. I got a good feeling about that guy. Like 6'3", 6'4", but super long arms. He's being labeled as a scorer already.
Ryan Rollins, yeah, I see him, found him.
I think that's good. I think that's a really nice pick, especially to get him in the second. Kudos to the Warriors, man. So I just wanted to mention those 2 guys that I like.
And the Warriors continue to get stronger. Yeah, I didn't even realize they had a first round pick. Interesting.
I think 28th or 29th.
Yeah, 28, and then the Rollins got selected by Atlanta at 44 and then traded to Golden State. So yeah, interesting. That's super interesting. They keep they keep getting younger and keep adding pieces and stay relevant. All right, let's get into the Toronto pick. We got to talk about
Let's do it, baby.
My boy Christian Koloko. Now,
Koloko, just his name already, I'm in love, bro.
There's
Koloko.
There's a lot I think to look forward to here. I mean, 7 foot, obviously center. He's filling a big position of need out of Cameroon. There's already a picture going around of him and Siakam that was taken like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, they're besties already.
7'5" wingspan, breakout junior year. When I got excited about this pick was the minute I saw Jay Bilas's reaction. I don't know if you were watching. I'm sure you were watching ESPN. I guess it was the only feed you could probably watch, right? But Jay Bilas on the right, his reaction said it all for me. The minute he saw Toronto take him, he was like, "This is first round potential." Screams first round potential. Whatever he said, he basically just summed it up. And the minute I saw the highlights, I got excited, bro. I got excited. I got really excited. I just think it was like such a Masai-esque move, and I've been looking, and I just YouTubed a bunch last night after we took him, and I saw tons of video footage of people just saying, we got to get Koloko. Like people,
I saw that too, which I thought was kind of interesting, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people called it, and I thought that was cool.
A lot of people called it, so I didn't even realize, but I mean, how could you not be excited about this, right? Like basketball without borders. It's a similar story to what we've seen with Masai and how he finds young talent. Like, this is pretty exciting, no? 7'5" wingspan coming into Toronto. It just is like add another player build to our mold. Like, it's exactly a Raptors player. Just get his frame.
It's going to give us something that we've severely lacked since the days that Bismack Biyombo was on the team, because we haven't, maybe Marc Gasol you could argue, but we haven't had a paint protector like this in some time, and I think the odds of him at the very least just being a solid rim and paint protector and rebounder for us. Like, I think it's almost a given. He might struggle other places, but very, very exciting. I mean, he hits his free throws, like not at 80%, but he's over in the 70s for free throw shooting, which is great for a big man, and
He can
it
get
shows
scored
potential
there.
there. And I know he doesn't shoot threes, but I've seen his form on free throws anyways. That's something I'm very confident that we can work with. I'm not saying we're going to turn him to Dirk, but if we can turn him into, some type of Mo Bamba type dude, like I don't want Mo Bamba anymore. We
Right.
don't need him.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
No.
we
This
can we
is.
can throw that money at like Otto Porter now if we wanted
I
to.
mean, look at the numbers: 12.6 points per game, 7.3 rebounds,
And the
2.8 blocks
blocks.
per game,
Yeah.
2.8. Like, damn, bro,
Yeah.
this is exactly what the
And I,
Raptors
I would
needed.
look at the per 40 numbers on those too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the frame, the wingspan, the
And almost a steal a game. That's good too for a big man.
and like you said, hits his free throws. There's a lot to look forward to here. I'm excited to see. Do you think he's our starting center going into next season? Is that crazy to say?
It's not crazy. I'm not sure about that, but I could maybe see him finishing as a starter. But again, I don't want to. We probably shouldn't get too excited, really, about him starting and playing meaningful minutes at the start. Nick Nurse usually doesn't like to play rookies too much. He's a bit old school that way,
Minus Scotty,
and they
right?
have to earn it. But I think he could eventually be there. At the very least, he's going to be a really important asset on our team. Like I think right now, the way I'm seeing it is like a Mitchell Robinson who hits free throws, and I think that's pretty good.
I
I
like
think
that.
that's any
Yeah.
team could kind of use that.
Yeah. No, that's not bad at all. Um,
And we also signed a player really fast, an undrafted player by the name of Ron Harper Jr. And if
ooh,
that name sounds familiar,
is it
yeah,
Ron
it's his
Harper's
son.
son?
It's his son right there. 6'6". He's a little bigger, 6'6", maybe 240, I think 230.
Nice.
But we signed him straight up to a two-way last night. So that's a really
Interesting.
good sign. That means we've had our eye on him.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to what we did with Champagny last year, and I really like Champagny. So
Right. Right.
uh, so I'm excited about that too. I think we did. I don't want to say the Raptors did a home run, but I think
Potential to be a home
they
run.
made a good choice.
Right. Um, I'm excited to see him in summer league. I think. I mean, summer league's always so fun, but whenever I don't really know when summer league starts. Is it end of July usually?
That sounds right. I don't know.
Anyways,
That sounds right.
should be exciting. That'll be fun. And yeah, I mean, you got to be pretty thrilled. It just seems like a position of need for the Raptors. It feels like the exact piece they were meant to take. It just felt like a meant to be pick, and I don't think he's going to
And
come
that
in and
name
be.
is so much fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't think he's going to come in and be Scotty Barnes, but I think
No.
I think he's gonna be. I mean, I could just see him slotting in perfectly, even in his first year, just to like the minutes that Boucher plays. Like even if we're not gonna give him heavy minutes, is that Boucher role? Like put him in
Yep.
in that similar role and kind of just unleash him as the season goes on, and maybe like you said, as we kind of develop him throughout the year, he slots into that starting position instead of Precious, right? Maybe or
I think once he gets the starting job, like I
it's
think he'll keep it. I
yeah.
really because we play so well on defense, and if we get a guy that just acts as the anchor
Right.
consistently, like Nick Nurse won't be able to pass that up.
No.
Even if he's not shooting threes or whatever, he just won't be able to pass that up.
And Precious to me seems like the perfect center off the bench. Like he just seems like he can
Yeah,
come in and give you
I love
energy.
Precious.
And when yeah, I think it.
Or,
I'm
or
excited.
or mix and match like
Yeah,
according to your
matchup.
opposition. I'm
Sure.
okay with that too.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm super excited, and this just gives me a lot of I think a lot to look forward to for the Raptors next season after this draft. I couldn't be more happy, honestly. And I don't think they're necessarily done. There's a lot of rumors with OG. We can get into that. We can get into.
I don't believe him, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to take a lot to trade OG, like you said. I don't think.
I think that's all coming from outside Raptors. Raptors are notoriously tight-lipped about anything that they do, but I don't believe it. I believe the interest. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
for sure.
Of course, they're going to be interested, but I just for what it would take, like I think what you were getting to there, I don't think anybody's going to give us what we would want for OG.
Do you think he's the most likely to be traded on the team at this point, or do you still think Siakam probably would be?
No, I would say Gary Trent Jr. is more likely to be traded.
Really, eh?
You know.
What's your thoughts on?
But I think most likely to be traded is Kevin Birch.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I thought he's not a free agent, Birch.
No, you got 2 years
Oh,
left.
Thad Young is free agent, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to re-sign Thad Young.
What's your thoughts on? I want to move into segueing out of the draft into kind of more free agency offseason just a little bit. But what's your thoughts on the Kyrie situation? We kind of touched on it, but what's your thoughts on it? What's your prediction on what's happening with the Nets with the whole KD thing? Do you think that will obviously that'd probably warrant KD to request a trade? Who do you think is like where if this do you see both of them being in Brooklyn at the start of the next year, or do you see them being separated on different teams? Like, what's your thoughts on how this goes? And
I think this is like so damn ugly because, oh man, like how did this like? I don't think it's so surprising that it didn't work, but how has it failed this bad? Where you're at a point now where Kyrie could leave, and if Kyrie leaves, Kevin Durant's not staying, and they will still be left with no picks and pick swaps till 2027. You know what I mean? And like, the fuck?
I know.
You know, I almost feel bad for Brooklyn, but I don't. But I almost do.
Well, I feel bad in the sense that what team would ever have turned away an opportunity to sign Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant? Then you have an opportunity to trade for James Harden. You do it. And he wants that. Like, they kind of got fucked by the star power, the potential of it. But I mean, like, it is a bit of a shame we never got to see the Nets at full power, because that team,
bit
like,
of a shame.
It's a bit of a shame, but it's a bit of
It's a
blessing.
shame for Durant.
Yeah, but I mean, context of it all, like, then you got Golden State winning a title this year. This all unfolding for Durant. Like, Durant's got to be feeling pretty shitty about this, but he seems like the type of player that's so secure in his game and his ability that he doesn't really get fazed by anything else that's going on. But he also seems like the player that kind of says that and really does care the most. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I think it's more that second one.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Right. I think he puts on like a bit of a a camouflage, but I think he's got a big heart. I don't think it shows it a lot of the time, and I think he cares a lot about what people think. And I think,
well, the burner accounts prove that
for sure. And I think the Golden State winning a chip this year, I don't think it's sitting well with him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he left. Now, if he does leave, how does this pan out? He's obviously Brooklyn's going to try to get a package for him. Who would make that move for Durant? Call me crazy, but if you're the Raptors, are you trying?
I don't know if we can give them something for Durant that they would want.
I mean, look around the league right now.
They're not getting Scotty.
Okay, for sure. I wasn't even thinking that. But now if we're putting OG in trade talks, if we're putting...
I'm getting Kevin Durant.
Young talent, that's a little bit more enticing if you're Toronto. Is that something you think Masai is keeping an eye on? Like, is this... like, I think any
I'm sure
GM
he's keeping an eye on it, but I don't think it's something he's banking on. But yeah, he's definitely keeping an eye on it, for sure. For sure. How could you not?
And who's primed to make the biggest move or the biggest splash for Durant? Like, is there a team primed right now that? What would be your prediction? If you don't see him in Brooklyn, where do you see him ending up?
I don't know.
I know, me either. That's why I'm asking, because I actually have no idea. But
I don't know. But honestly, I do think they're both in Brooklyn. I think they're going to work it out. But it's just to have this kind of like problem right now. It's just
so early into
stupid.
So early into
and after such a disappointing season too. Like,
right.
Come on. Although I do
only
like
team to get
Kyrie
swept
in New York and with the Knicks. I always liked that idea.
Right.
But
it'd be fun. It would make the Knicks exciting again.
But even then, like, I'm almost like, fuck Kyrie.
Kyrie is incredible.
13 in a row you fucked in the ass.
For sure, but he's incredible. He's incredible. And it's like, Is
he though?
Yes.
Like, obviously he is, but I mean,
very good.
When you weigh everything, like, you're the one that always talks about durability and shit.
Sure.
Like, what is it? He played. Stephen A. says it all the time. But
yeah,
he played like 100 games or not even. Like,
this is the one that hurts the most. Kevon Looney played more games last season than Kyrie played in the last 3 seasons.
So there you go. Like, what the fuck is that?
I know.
And he's getting paid what, 10 times more than Kevon Looney?
I know. But let's be honest. Kyrie Irving won playing on the court and it's not like it's really injury. It's kind of other bullshit with Kyrie. And COVID is a bit of an exception. going forward,
I don't know.
if I'm a team and I'm weighing NBA talent, generational talent, Kyrie Irving is. There is not a single player who can really stop Kyrie Irving. It's I don't know. To me, I'm a
I
huge.
don't know about that.
I think Kyrie Irving is just for his size too. It's pretty remarkable, but I don't know, man. If Kyrie leaves, for me, this question
It's a
was
lot of baggage, is what I'm saying.
For sure.
It's a lot of baggage.
Now-
I'm not denying his talent and what he's done. I don't want to. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying what he's bringing with him now is
Right,
just
right,
so
right. I see what
so
you're saying.
nasty.
What do you-
It's comparable to Ben Simmons for me.
Is it primed? Is it primed to be kind of a? Could you see this somehow working to the Lakers' benefit somehow? And maybe if it's not Kyrie,
Well, everybody's
KD,
saying he's going to reject it and take a mid-level exception to playing in Los Angeles to prove to everybody doesn't care about money.
If there was a player that if there was
fucking do that,
if there was a player you could bank on doing that, wouldn't it be Kyrie though?
I guess. Do it. Go join LeBron. Do it. Whatever.
I mean,
Whatever.
It's one of those. It's a weird situation. I don't really know how this pans out.
You're giddy about it. It's okay.
I'm excited about the potential of Kyrie and LeBron being back together.
I hope he goes and he fucks them in the ass too.
This is the thing. I don't. I mean, okay. Like, let's look at context. He fucked over Cleveland. He did win a chip with Cleveland, though.
Yeah, he did.
I'm gonna minus that out of, like, Boston screwed them over for sure, and then Brooklyn. Obviously, here we are, but I think there's a lot of stuff. Like, there was a lot of factors of, like, COVID and the vaccine. There was a lot of these, like, undeniable. Like, I don't think Kyrie Irving thought he wasn't going to be playing at the start of the last season if he, when he signed that deal. So, to me, I'm a little bit more lenient on it. I totally get why people would be hard on him. I think the Kevon Looney stat alone shows you everything you need to kind of know. But I think if you're a team like the Lakers,
oh, they wouldn't say no.
yeah,
Obviously,
I mean, how could you?
obviously,
But that's
especially if they're just paying him mid-level.
of course. I mean, right? But now let's think. If you're LeBron, you're the Lakers. Like, is there a team that's going to take Westbrook's contract next year? Or, like, going into the trade deadline? This year, sorry. Like, going into the trade deadline? I thought it was a 1-year deal, but I think there's 2 years left on it.
No, he's got a player option this year, which I don't think he's exercised yet, actually. But
which he will probably, right?
it's like $47 million. He's definitely gonna take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's impossible that Westbrook gets moved. I do think it's impossible that Westbrook gets moved for Kyrie Irving. And if the Lakers had more draft assets, like picks, I could see that happening. But because of the Anthony Davis trade, they're very, very limited that way.
Right.
So, I don't know. But maybe all the baggage makes Kyrie Irving's value drop. I mean, never say never, right? But it's just, I don't think that's enough. And I think that would be a bit strange if Brooklyn accepted something like that.
Right.
But Brooklyn aside, I don't think the Lakers are, like, completely fucked with Russell Westbrook. I think, for one, I still think they can make him work on the team. I haven't given up on that. But two, they can find a home.
Indiana is one that I've been seeing with them being in.
Or Charlotte with Gordon Hayward.
True. That's interesting, actually. Wow, really interesting. And Westbrook is part of the Jordan brand. He fits right in with, like, the Jordan family and Jordan.
It would depend if they want him to influence LaMelo, but I think that's a good influence.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
That's arguable.
Yeah,
but,
true. But
he's a vet, man.
I don't know. I don't know. Thinking about it, with how I see LaMelo, and, like, Westbrook could be exactly what LaMelo needs, actually, to, like, put him in his place a bit. I think it could be like a maturing kind of. I've been in your shoes, been a star point guard in this league before. I know what it's like. I've been an MVP, average a triple double. Like, could be good.
Kind of like what he did for Victor Oladipo.
Right. Yeah.
One season.
Good example. Good example. And Vic went crazy after that in Indiana. He went crazy after
He's
that.
He's gonna get paid this year,
dude. I'm excited to see what happens to Vic. I hope he goes somewhere. Somewhere good. Where. If you're a team out there, then who could you be in use of Victor Oladipo's talents? I was gonna say, what's your thoughts on the Raptors getting him? You like it?
I wouldn't mind. Well, especially with this Coloco pick, I was all for throwing mid-level money at which is like let's say like 10 million or eight, something like that. I was thinking let's throw it at Mo Bamba and see what happens.
Hmm.
But now with the Coloco pick, we don't need to do that anymore. So
Vic would
um,
be nice, man, on
I like
those.
that. I like that. I also really like Otto Porter Jr.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's enough,
I think a
but
lot of teams are going to be after Otto Porter this offseason.
definitely. Well, Victor Oladipo too, I think.
Hmm. Um. Okay, so let's go back to Lakers here. If Lakers can somehow pull this off, get Kyrie Irving, you got to think Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, LeBron James is pretty good fit together. No.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't really have if they don't win a title. There's not much of excuses there.
Right. Um. How likely
But
do you
then,
think it
like,
is that Kyrie goes to the Lakers? Is it unlikely, likely, 50-50?
I
Is
think
it
it's unlikely, just because of the money. I
right?
think it's unlikely, but it's not the craziest thing I've ever seen. It wouldn't be the craziest thing I've ever seen happen. That's for sure.
Right. Last
Uh,
year, if you were to say James Harden would demand a trade to Brooklyn, you'd probably be like, hell no. But
that's it.
you never know. Interesting. Okay. Is there anything?
I mean, Lakers got to be fucking excited about that because you're heading into an off season where your, uh, let's say, options are limited to
Right.
get better, except for the obvious, older player free agents who are going to come back. Who, by the way, I think Kemba Walker is going to be one of those this year.
Interesting.
If I had to guess.
Interesting.
But yeah, to all be looking at getting a guy like Kemba Walker on a minimum or Kyrie Irving. I mean, yeah, I'd be pumped if I was Lakers too. I'd be getting excited about that.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I am a Lakers fan and I'm pretty excited. That's why I wanted to bring it up and talk about it. I'm just seeing on my phone here, Knicks are expected to offer Jalen Brunson a 4-year, $100 million contract.
That's about what I thought he'd probably get with the Mavs.
Right.
Yeah, I think closer to 20 would be what would be ideal, but I get it.
I think he'll take that. There was because there's a
You
report
don't, you
they.
don't think the Mavs are going to give him that?
I just think because they hired his dad. I don't know if that matters, but I think
I don't know.
they're trying to show him a lot of love. And I
Oh,
think
they're definitely trying. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt about that. You're right.
will they succeed? Who knows? I have a feeling Brunson's going to be a Nick though. I think they get him. Now is it like you said? I don't really know how much it helps them.
Does he move the needle?
Nah, not even as much as like a pick in like the 10th pick possibly could. Like I would just have taken the 10th pick and gone for it. Like fuck it, bro. I don't know.
Usman was nice.
I know.
I think OKC's going to be real happy with him.
There's a lot of. It's funny how you look at a draft and you look at these names, you look at the board, you look at the projections, the draft board, and then you go, okay, this is what I'm seeing. I don't really know much, and then you look at the end of the year, and it's like a whole new list because now these names have context, they have meaning. You've
Yeah.
seen it. You go, holy crap! Like I remember looking back on the Tyrese draft and being like, whoa, Tyrese. Look back at Donovan Mitchell draft, Donovan. You look back at these drafts where there's guys like those in those middle of the lottery, and it's like, damn. So yeah, looking forward to obviously this year seeing who shines through. Any off-season stuff you want to talk about before we cut? Anything?
Just one actually guy in the draft. It's a guy I don't know if I thought Raptors were going to take him, but it was at the very last minute kind of interest for me. Bryce McGowan or McGowan's, not sure.
Do you know where he got to?
Yeah, he went
Charlotte.
to Timberwolves.
No, he traded to Charlotte though.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
But anyways, I like him. I think he's going to be a good player. I was if Raptors would have picked him, I would have been happy as well.
nice. He's a 6'6" guard from Nebraska. Haven't looked into him too much, but a lot of on the right up here. Charlotte got a lot of pieces. Huh. Interesting. All right, cool. What do you think we're gonna see here in the next? So when does free agency officially start, or when can teams sign free agents?
Usually July 1st.
First, right? Okay, so are we going to see like what's your thought? Like I personally thought we would have saw a little bit more like in terms of trades last night, but we didn't quite.
Well, there
see
were
it.
quite a few trades, just not non-draft related.
Right. But I was thinking more because Woj kind of hinted at like big player movement because of just context of the last few years of like demanding trades and all that, how it's changed. But When do you think we see, like, when do you expect a Kyrie Irving answer? When do you expect answers on all these things? Like,
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think so for sure. And I think Brooklyn's got to stand tough with Kyrie, like in not giving him a max.
Interesting.
Because I think it's just hard to, like, I think at the end of the day, maybe you have to do it because it means you're getting KD too, but
Right,
it's
that's
just,
the thing. That's the thing.
it just really hurts to be at the whims of a player that
Takes
doesn't
advantage
seem
of the
to care too much
situation.
of you, you know?
Right, yeah. No, I feel that.
As a GM, like it's how can you do that professionally with a straight face?
I'm
You
just
know
not
what I
sure
mean?
what else they do. Like trading
Well,
and
stand
rebuild.
tough.
Sure, but what? Then you lose them to the Lakers, lose KD.
Well, it wouldn't be the Lakers. It would be somebody, probably the Knicks.
Right, and lose KD too, though.
Because I don't see him. I don't see him leaving $30 million on the table.
So
That's what it. Like Lakers can't sign him,
right, right.
but
Unless
New
they
York
can,
can.
unless they can,
Detroit could.
unless they could find a home for Westbrook. But
No, even then, it would have to be a sign and trade with it. Because even if they trade Westbrook, they're still not under the cap.
damn.
They still don't have enough cap room, anyways.
Right.
But that's what happens when you got
LeBron and
3
Anthony
big contracts
Davis.
like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, it'll be interesting. Hopefully next week we have some stuff to talk about. Maybe there'll be some movement, some rumors, some stuff that kind of gets discussed.
There will be for sure.
Next week's still before the first, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or at first might be like Friday or something.
Yeah. So cool. We can
Is it Friday?
Yeah, it is. So we can do
that's good.
we can do a whole
Nice.
free agency episode. We might even be like tracking it in real time as it's going on. So
Yeah, that sounds good.
that will be cool. All right, cool. So we'll cut it there. We'll meet back up Friday. We'll do free agency episode. This was kind of a little draft preview, specifically probably more lottery than anything. But we got into the Raptors pick, a few trades down the board as well. Super excited about these young guys. It's going to be really fun to watch next year. It's another league pass purchase for me, based on what I saw. But yeah, super excited. And next week we'll get into start of free agency. I think it's July 1st, but we'll confirm that. But I think
It usually is, yeah.
usually is. So yeah, we'll get into that, and that'll be exciting. Hopefully we'll be kind of reacting in real time to some stuff. So yeah, good episode, man. Good talking to you, and I'll see you back on the program next week.
So block party, baby.
Block party. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.